children. I am Apurva Singh and I am wishing you all health and happiness. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about the famous Ruskin Bond story, The Boy Who Broke the Bank. Before beginning with the story, I would like you all to know few facts about Ruskin Bond. Now, the story is written by the pioneer of children literature, writer Ruskin Bond. He is best known for his short stories, Adventures of Rusty and Sensitive and Imaginative Boy from the Hills of Dehradun. At the age of 17, in the year 1956, he wrote his first novel, The Room on the Roof. An Indian writer who received Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1992 for his book, Our Trees Still Grow at Tehran. In 1999, he was honored with the title Padma Shri for his lifetime contribution to Indian literature. By this short description, we come to know that what a prolific writer he is. But now we need to move ahead with the story. So the story begins with the protagonist Nathu. Nathu was found grumbling in the opening lines of the story. By his grumblings, we come to know that he was angry at the owner of the small-scale banker. Now, this person's name was Govind Ram. Seth Govind Ram was his name. He was the owner of the bank and Nathu was employed under him. Nathu, a poor boy, was not being paid regularly by his master. Now this boy, he was very frustrated, yet he had to do his everyday work. So he took the broom and hurriedly he was trying to clean the area. Now when hurriedly he was trying to clean the area, he made a cloud of the dust. And what happened, this dust, it went up on his head, and after that, after all the mess it created, it again was settling down on the floor. He was found dropping and he was found banging the dustbins around. Why? Because he was not satisfied with the pay and with the working environment he was getting at this owner's place. In the meantime, when he was found banging the dustbin, his friend Sitaram, the washerman's son, came across. He just passed by. Why? Because he was on the way of his delivering of the cloths. When he saw Nathu to be so angry, he waited there. He asked him, "What happened, Nathu? Why are you so angry? Aren't your owners paying you the extra amount which you asked them to pay?" Nathu gave a frustrated and an angry look at Sitaram. He told him, "Are you talking about the extra pay that the owner should pay me? They are not paying me my regular amount." Though Sitaram was also puzzled that what went wrong with the bank. Why isn't it paying his employees? He asked Nathu about his future plans. Nathu was very clear that once he'll get paid his complete amount, whatever was due, he's going to leave the job and join at somewhere else. Now, Sitaram heard all these things, and like a very true friend, he was concerned about his friend. He thought of finding him a new job. He bids him goodbye and he walks away. On his way to delivering the clothes, he came across Mrs. Prakash. He delivered the clothes to Mrs. Prakash, and after delivering, when he was tying his bundle, he heard her complaining about the sweeping of the courtyard. She felt it to be really a hard work to do. Sitaram thought that it was the right time, and he discussed about his friend with Mrs. Prakash. Mrs. Prakash inquired few things about Nathu, and she came to know that he was working under Seth Govindram. But she was again concerned about the fact that they are rich people, they are sound people, why aren't they able to pay their employees? But this does not concern her much. She just told Sitaram that ask your friend to come and meet me whenever he is free. Sitaram very happily tied up his bundle. Again he lifted up on his head, and his head was half covered with the load which he was carrying on his head, and he was walking away back to his house, and he was very satisfied. Why? Because he could help his customer also and his friend also. The customer found a sweeper boy and the friend would find a new job. Further in the story, we come to know that this woman, Mrs. Prakash, had an habit of going on a tour in the afternoon. She would visit her cloth shop, and she did the same this afternoon. On her way, she met Mrs. Bhushan. They met under a tamarind tree. Now, like the women, whenever they meet, they have a lot to work. I'm not being biased with the women, but yes, they do so. So Mrs. Prakash, whatever she heard this morning from Sitaram, she went on discussing, and she narrated the whole story to Mrs. Bhushan. Mrs. Bhushan heard the story. She could understand that the bank owner was now in a poor condition. Maybe it is because of the losses. Why? Because Seth Sitaram was famous for his careless behavior. And everybody in the village knew that because he is so licentious and he is so casual in his work, his bank is not making much profit. So they believe that it is because of this that the bank has now moved towards its bankruptcy. She waited for a while, and then she left Mrs. Prakash under that tamarind tree, and she walks away to find her husband. She found her husband in the electrical shop, and the husband's name was Mr. Prakash. Mr. Kishore. Now this Mr. Kishore, he was sitting in that electrical shop when he found her wife, Mrs. Bhushan, coming to him. The wife narrated the whole thing, whatever she heard from Mrs. Prakash. Now this man, he got very concerned. He was worried. Why? Because his neighbor, Mr. Faiz Hussain, he had his account in that bank of Seth Govindram. He runs to the shop. He was a barber and he was keeping good care of his shop, and he was there in the shop. He goes to him and he says, listen, Hussain, did you hear about the bankruptcy? Hussain, after hearing this news, was so startled that he was shaving an old gentleman, and by mistake, he nicked his neck. When this old gentleman, he heard the news, he walked away. He leaped out of the shop with one side being shown and the other side was left just like that, and he runs and he moves across the road, and he goes to a general store and dials the number of Seth Govindram. Now, the man, this old gentleman, he was so puzzled and he was so worried. Why? Because he was in pain and he was in distress. Now, why he was in pain? Because he got a cut on his neck, and he was distressed because of the awful news, as because even he had his bank account in that bank. Now, when he gives the call to the bank, Mr. Govindram, he did not receive the call. There was somebody else on the other side, and he got the news that Seth Govindram was not in the town. By hearing this news, this man was absolutely perplexed. He could not understand that what has happened. Why does this man leave the town? Or is the rumor or the news the real news which is prevailing around in the village? And the readers are also left with this suspense that what is going to happen next. Everybody wanted to know that whether the bank was actually bankrupt or it was just a rumor. So we will also get to know it, and we are going to catch it when we come to our second video. I hope you like my video, and up till now whatever I discussed, that was interesting and you loved it. If you did so, please like, share and comment.